Welcome to the Evoto AI Edge podcast, the show where we dive deep into the world of photography, business, and cutting-edge AI technology. If you are a photographer looking to streamline your workflow, boost your productivity, and grow your business, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Evoto AI Edge podcast. I'm Brett Florence, and this morning, I am joined by the very talented Kelsey Freeman. She is a maternity, newborn, and family photographer based between Atlanta and Birmingham. Kelsey describes her photography as her passion to the depths of her core. And you can see that in her work. It is full of heart, and it's got so much warmth and connection. Kelsey, thank you so much for joining me this morning. When you say Atlanta and Birmingham, are we talking Birmingham, England?
No, Alabama. They're a few hours apart, so I'm kind of in between those two major cities in the middle of nowhere.
Welcome to the podcast. I must admit that I have only come across your work through what I've seen in the Evoto Facebook group, and you posted a couple of weeks back, and you got such an amazing response from all our users. I just had to get in touch with you, and it's been such a delight to deal with you, and I'm so excited that you could make it to this podcast, especially during these times just before Christmas, because obviously we're on deadlines and people want to get their gifts in for Christmas. So Kelsey, please, can you just share with us a little bit about your journey? As many other listeners, I'm only discovering your work for the first time here, and I would love to hear a little bit more about you and what drew you specifically towards maternity, newborn, and family portraiture.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. So I got started in photography, I feel like alongside a lot of other people. When you have kids, you're just looking for something you can make a little money and not have a 9 to 5 job. So I had my son really early, and I ended up my sister was in photography. She went to college for it. And so I was like, let me give that a try. So she taught me a few of the basics, exposure triangle. And once she taught me that, I just kind of started doing sessions after work and on the weekends, and then learned I really loved it. I focused on family. And then I got to a point I could quit my job, and I started doing weddings. That was the main way I really brought in money, and learned that wasn't for me. I did it for years, but I don't have a backbone at all. So it was too hard for me to do weddings. People are so mean. So anyway, I love all things family and babies. I was the neighborhood babysitter, and I wanted to go to college to be a teacher. So I just love kids. And so it was very natural for me to do families and everything. But then I just learned, the more I worked with maternity and newborn, I love the whole motherhood aspect of it all. And I feel like with photography, you have some days when like you maybe don't want to go to a session, you consider it work, or you got to go to your job. But something about like maternity and newborn, that never happens to me. I'm always so excited to do maternity and newborn. And so, yeah, it's just kind of become my little happy space. So anyway, I absolutely love it. But I now am into studio work. I got into studio a few years ago, and yeah, that's kind of been my little journey. It's allowed me to kind of be semi stay-at-home mom, but make some money and have fun doing my job. But yeah, I just love, and I'm branching out into more things, not just maternity and newborn and all of that. The more I play around with lighting, the more I'm working with models, which is super fun. But just something about the whole family aspect, I've always been drawn to, always been like a maternal kind of person. So that's kind of what drew me into this direction here. But yeah, I absolutely love it. It's so fun.
Yeah, my next question was going to be on your website. It says that photography is your passion to the depths of your core. I was going to ask you what that means in your everyday work, but clearly, I mean, you just exude excitement for what you do, and it's so great to see that passion in somebody who is doing something that they absolutely love. In terms of your specific style, I feel that your imagery is quite maternal, and there's a warmth, emotional element to it. how do you describe your style? And was it intentional to shoot in that specific style? Was it a business decision?
No, honestly, I just found that I kept gravitating towards it really. I've played around with many different styles throughout the years. I even kind of a few years back thought maybe I wanted to do more of a natural, organic sort of style. I thought, man, it'll help with my editing time because I did so much editing that it just took up so much time to have my style. And so I even tried more natural stuff. And although it was much easier and quicker to edit, I still didn't love my pictures as much. Something about like, pops of color. And the more I played around with lighting, I got into bold lighting. And so I really just kind of found that I just kept gravitating towards my style. I have so much respect and appreciation for other styles out there, but something about just the boldness, I just always love. And it's very me, it's very vibrant. And that's kind of me. And so, yeah, I just think it just like speaks to my soul to have happy pops of color and stuff. So yeah, I wish I had more of a better answer for that, I guess.
For some people, it's very specific. I know that for me, I shoot in a very editorial way that is not very spontaneous. And I've done a lot of weddings in my life, and I'm more well known for the wedding side of my work. But that was a very strategic move. I'm glad to hear that you naturally gravitated to what you do, and it's still financially and yeah, economically viable, because a lot of the times when photographers are doing work that they like, it might not necessarily be attractive to a specific buyer, but that's a whole nother business uh, conversation. I'm so excited to get into your workflow and to see you working with some of your images. But before I get there, I just want to ask you specifically about the newborns and the family side of things, because you said that you didn't have a backbone for weddings. I mean, weddings is where I absolutely thrive. The maternity and the newborn for me is a little bit daunting because you do have so much emotional expectations from particularly mothers who want to have that image that represents happy family and a beautiful family unit. How do you deal with your clients' anxiety or their emotional state in terms of your client experience? Because I think client experience is obviously a big part of what you do, not only the final image, but can you just take us through a few tips and tricks, or some of the ways that you deal with client anxiety, especially when you're dealing with newborns and young families?
Oh yeah, for sure. I will say I have high anxiety. I That's one of the reasons I got out of weddings. The thought of missing a moment that you just can't get back. The thought of losing someone's pictures, which I've done that back early in the day. I've lost some wedding
We've all done it. We've all done it.
yeah. Yeah, okay, good to know. So, it's stuff like that that really got me out of weddings because I am just too anxious about those things. So, when it comes to like maternity and newborn, I feel like I really try to make people feel as comfortable as I can because I know it's a lot of new stuff. A lot of times these people have never done professional photo shoots. They're just doing it, for pregnancy and then baby. So they it's a lot of new things for them. And so for me, just kind of I try to prepare as much beforehand, send them all the prep guides and everything. But just as far as, you want to be welcoming and a lot of people travel to me, I will say, because they see my videos online, they see my personality and they're like, you would make me feel comfortable with my baby or with me getting half naked in front of a camera. I feel comfortable with you. And so that definitely, I feel like personality can bring a lot to it. You just want to make your clients feel super comfortable. But, I think for me, part of the reason I love maternity and stuff is I naturally gravitate towards it. So with babies, I feel so comfortable with them. I hear people say, I would never want to hold somebody's newborn baby. That makes me so nervous. And so while I might be too nervous to photograph weddings, I can sleep just fine knowing I'm going to have someone's baby in my hands the next day. It just feels natural. I'm not scared about it. And so that kind of, I think, helps clients feel a little more comfortable because I feel comfortable doing it. I think that's part of the reason why I stuck with it. It's like it doesn't feel too out of my comfort zone. And because I'm such an anxious person, I like to stick with like where I'm comfy, And so that's kind of why I really, really love, doing maternity and newborn. It's just natural and I'm not nervous about it. And I think your clients can smell your fear. So I think that probably helps a little bit. But if you're somebody that wants to get into this, know that there's workshops and things you can do to learn how to safely handle someone's baby or post somebody that's pregnant or whatever, the safe way. So it doesn't have to be, out of your wheelhouse. If it's not something you're comfortable with, you can totally get into it. But anyway, I'm an anxious person too. So I get it. I think I try to help people out with that as well because I feel it.
So from your reply, I pick up that you shoot quite a lot of behind the scenes. Is that strategic? I know for me, it has become a very big part of what I do, and a lot of what I post is behind the scenes. Please, can you just expand a little bit on the behind the scenes process? Do you have another photographer there shooting behind the scenes? Is it very specific? You just answer that. You tell me.
I can tell you this. I honestly don't love having to record extra stuff because it just takes extra time out of my actual job that already is, a full-time job. But I've learned with this day and age, I feel like social media and video presence is huge. I feel like a lot of people they're resistant against wanting to do it because it's something new and it takes time and it's annoying. But I think if you really want your business to flourish, you've got to go with the times. And right now, it's just all in video content. I mean, you don't have to. There are successful people who don't do any social media, but it helps me. I started a few years ago regularly posting content online, and it really helped me find clients that were not in my area. It caused me to learn that your client is out there. Your clients are all over the world. They just haven't found you. And so getting your videos out there allow for people to find you. And I had a previous like TikTok account. It got banned, but beforehand, I had 1 million followers, and it helped me find clients all over. I've had clients fly to me from all across the world for their photo shoots. And I'm like, I would never do that. I would never spend that money traveling for these pictures. But there's people out there who value it. And they find me, they think I would make them feel comfortable. So like, let's do it. I literally just had a client a few months ago travel for the second time from South Africa for maternity pictures. So I'm telling you, your clients are out there. They're willing to spend the money. They just haven't found you. So when I learned that that was the case, I wanted to go even harder. It's never been about the follower count. I don't care about that. But what I do care about is the reach I get. And it allows me to stay booked and busy, even in a rough economy. So I've learned it's just part of business now. So I don't have anybody helping me. I'm just a one-man show here, but it adds extra time, but you find your groove. You start slow. I started just kind of recording a little bit of behind the scenes at my sessions, and then you learn what works well. People really loved when I would actually set up and show my setup process. And so that became one of my regulars, is just setting the camera up and showing me set up the entire session. And I learned that could be one whole video. And then I could have a whole other video of the session and then a whole video of the cleanup. And you can just break it up in so many ways, but content is everything. I just make sure I'm just always recording, whether it's on my phone or my backup camera. I have two mirrorless cameras, one to shoot and one backup. So I was like, I'll just use it for video. So it's just habit now. Turn on my light, turn on my camera, record as much as I can throughout the session. And it really helps business thrive, I promise you. And people, it's like pulling teeth, getting people to want to start social media. I understand it takes time, but those people also complain all day that they're not finding clients and not getting booked. And that to me is just like, well, you got to put in the work. They're not just gonna find you maybe I mean, maybe with SEO, maybe Google searches, but for the most part, people are online watching videos now. So you got to kind of go with the times if you want your business to thrive at all times, you know?
I think it also makes you so much more relatable, and people can see you as a human being and not just these incredible images, because it could be a little bit intimidating to see these incredible images and think, wow, I'm not going to be able to nail that. But if you see the process, then it would make you feel a little bit more comfortable. But that must have been devastating, losing a TikTok account with 1 million followers.
Oh yeah, it was. Long story short, it's just one of those days where I had a client who, just a really not great client, didn't listen to anything, showed up 2 hours late for her photo shoot, um, changed the baby's formula the night before the session. So the baby was, not happy. And she asked for a naked picture, which I don't really like to offer. I just love clothes. And with the way social media is now, but it was her session. It's what she wanted. So I was like, okay. So I went and did the picture she wanted, but I will do a little tangent here. I was doing a TikTok live,
Oh.
and because I had 1 million followers, I had thousands of people that would watch my live at one time. And so when she asked for this naked picture, I was doing this live and I thought, well, how am I going to do this? So I made sure to angle the camera where all you could see was baby's face. You didn't see anything, but because the baby's tummy was in knots, she ended up going to the bathroom and spitting up at the same time. And when she went to spit up, she started to choke. So my mom instincts kicked in. I'm just thinking baby. So I get her up and make sure she's not choking, not realizing I have her whole body on my TikTok live. And so everybody's just reporting for, child, I'm being exposed. So it just immediately logged me out and I lost my account. And it's like one of those times when it's like, man, I really should have stuck to my guns because this mom was just so disrespectful in every way. And had I listened to myself and not stayed for her session 2 hours late, never would have happened. But whatever, it got deleted. So I was really mad about it. I pitched a fit for probably a year before I picked up my camera again and started recording. And I'm glad I did. I'm really glad I did because it's kind of brought me back to a lot of, people. And it's growing again. I'm getting more clients from social media again. But it definitely was devastating. So I'll say don't put all your eggs in one basket. You want to post to all your different social medias and stuff. So that's my goal for this year. And just keeping good with my social media and making sure I don't just focus on TikTok this year. I focus on all my social medias. Because yeah, when you put all your eggs in one basket and that basket's thrown out of the window, well, then my bookings kind of went down. So learn my lesson, but that's how much social media works for me. I guess my local reach isn't as good, but for probably the past decade now, my clients have mostly been hours away. So I'm kind of used to that, but it definitely makes a big difference having a good social media presence if you're looking to find clients and you feel like you just can't find them in your town.
Yeah, I think that is devastating. But with your attitude, I think it's brilliant that you see the positive in it, and it's a great lesson to help other photographers. Especially if your intentions are good. I mean, you were trying to basically save the baby's life, and even if your intentions are good, you can have a situation where it's just devastating. So thank you for sharing that story. It's yeah. So you say that over a decade ago. How long have you been a professional photographer?
Okay, I've been a photographer for 13 years, and I will start off by saying I got very lucky off the bat. I don't know what happened, but in the photography world, in a lot of my local like Facebook groups and stuff, my work started kind of popping off. I did a lot of outdoor family. I was known for being able to shoot a family of six at 1.6 and everybody be crystal clear and have the creamiest background. That was kind of what skyrocketed me, I guess. And I also made presets and actions, and I've always been into like graphic design. So I I sold a lot of that sort of stuff, and that brought me a lot of like photographer followers. And I started just teaching a little bit, and I started doing workshops. But a lot of people just started finding me on social media, on Facebook, from all over. And so most of my clients would travel to me. It's very common for me to have clients flying in for their photo shoots. And so it's always just kind of been a thing for me. My clients have always just kind of been from all over because I've had a good social media presence, I guess, since I started all this 13 years ago now. It's crazy.
So you said that you got lucky. I don't hear any part there where there's luck involved. It sounds like you worked hard and you knew what you were doing. So which part is the lucky part?
Okay, it's probably not luck, I guess. It's probably working hard. One thing I've learned is that you might not have talent, but if you've got tenacity and grit and you just keep going, you just got to put your dreams out there and keep your goals in mind. And that's what I've done. I've just always been, keep my blinders on and not try not to pay attention to all the hoopla else that's going out there because it can get so distracting looking at all these other photographers and their work and stuff. So I think it's just keeping your blinders on, knowing your goals, and just working really hard at it and not expecting a handout. I had a really rough childhood. Watched my mother be a very hard single working mom, and she had her own business. My dad had his own business. And so that's kind of what I grew up with, is just watching my parents just work hard, I guess. So yeah, I've learned just tenacity will get you a really long way.
So maybe the luck comes in the fact that you had great parents.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll say that.
13 years of photography. Evoto, in terms of your editing, Evoto has only been around for a few of those years. Please tell me about your editing process and workflow before Evoto.
Okay, so I have always been into Photoshop and Lightroom. That was always my thing. Well, let me go back. When I first started photography, I was Photoshop only. Even when I did weddings, I didn't even use Lightroom then. Awful. So I've been Lightroom and Photoshop for the longest time, and I know Photoshop very well. When I was in middle school is when MySpace was a big thing, and you were able to customize the way your layout looked. And I actually got into graphic design back then when I was in middle school to make layouts. And so when I was in middle school, I actually like gave away templates and stuff for those. So I was always doing graphic design, and that made photography so much easier because I could take a picture and not have any bokeh, but I could edit it and it looked really good after I was done editing. So while I was learning photography, my Photoshop skills definitely picked up the slack. And so when I learned about Evoto, was a few years back, actually. I was teaching at a big hotel conference. You might have heard of Shutterfest. So I was a teacher there, and you guys had reached out asking if I wanted to check out your booth. And I honestly ignored you guys because I was like, I don't know anything. I don't need it. I do Photoshop and actions and presets. I don't need anything. Not realizing what I was missing out on. 2 years, you guys asked me to come check you out. It wasn't until my third year teaching at Shutterfest, I finally was like, what the heck? Let's check it out. And when I checked it out, oh my gosh, when I tell you I was kicking myself in the butt for not checking you guys out 2 years prior, couldn't couldn't believe that I waited so long to try it because it saves so much time. All the annoying things that I would either edit myself or send off to retouchers, I don't do that anymore. I don't send anything out to retouchers anymore because I can just throw that into a Voto and it's going to take care of it. So it has saved so much time for me. So now I still use Lightroom and Photoshop because there are things I feel like, Photoshop is great for. Now, not say you guys aren't going to come up with ways to get that in your program, but for now I still use Lightroom, Photoshop, and Evoto. Evoto is definitely part of my workflow on every single image now. So hats off to you guys. Thank you. You're amazing.
Well, tenacity and perseverance, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So just explain to me your basic workflow process with regards to Photoshop, Lightroom, and Evoto. And then what I would love for you to do is to share with us your favorite tools and features. And then the moment I've been waiting for a while now, I really would like to watch you work your magic on one of your images to show us your process. But in terms of your workflow, you shoot the images and then from there it goes.
So what I do is I shoot my pictures, and then I upload into Lightroom first. I prefer being able to do my culling and everything there. And once I'm in there, I'll throw a preset on to my images, and then I send those to my clients to pick out their favorites. Once they pick out their favorites, I open them up in Photoshop, and I'll do a little. A lot of times I have to fill in my background, and just whatever nitty-gritty things I'll do in Photoshop, but I save like my skin retouching, my backdrop smoothing, clothes de-wrinkle, all that I save for Evoto. And so then I'll pop it in Evoto and do all that stuff that I got to do there. And then that's it. That's the end of my process. So Lightroom, Photoshop, and then Evoto. And so yeah, it's I know that you can, immediately put your pictures into a photo and do things from there. I am such a creature of habit. So I haven't even like made that jump to try and edit anything like that in a photo yet, but I'm definitely thinking about it. I'm especially thinking about it because soon at my studio I want to start showing my clients their pictures on the screen right after I shoot tether from my camera because I don't do that right now. So I'm thinking about doing that. So when I tether, they can immediately see the Evoto edit on it. I know you guys can do that. And so that's my next list of things to do and try out.
Yeah, I mean, if you do have some spare time, then do it as a test. Don't test it on a client, but do it as a test, and it literally blows your mind that as you're shooting, it's going straight into Evoto. You've either got your preset on there or uh, you do your settings on the image that you would like, and then you get a setting that the next time every image that comes in has that same setting immediately, and it's actually quite scary to watch it. It's so fascinatingly impressive. So yeah, I mean, I do that with my corporate headshots. So clients look at themselves and they go, "Wow!" And I mean, I don't want to give a magician doesn't give away his secrets, but the client looks at it and feels like it's straight out of camera. So they
Yeah.
feel so good about themselves. I don't tell them it's already retouched. I can say to them, "Would you like me to do some retouching on this?" And they're like, "No, no, no, it looks great." Um, yeah, so give it a go. Just practice that process. But I mean, if you don't normally shoot with cables, if you don't normally shoot tethered, it will take you a little bit of time to get used to. But yeah, a great tethering cable straight into Evoto, and wow, yeah, it's amazing.
I'm
So
excited.
if you're not using the culling feature and the tethered shooting, what is your favorite Evoto tool or feature?
My favorite is skin retouching. Honestly, the skin retouching, it does such a great job. But something that like I really truly love that saves a lot of time is the remove glasses glare. Honestly, I mean, it saves so much time. I just had Christmas mini sessions, and so many of my people had glasses on. And when I tell you, I know that normally I would be dreading editing these because it's so many glasses, but that saves so much time. And I love, literally, I love armpit fix. Like that is so great. And then the backdrop, changer and smoother, but clothes de-wrinkle is so great. And I just love that you guys have a mask where you can like mask things off. That's amazing. So, I mean, really, if I had to pick one thing though, it's the skin retouching. That's what saves me the most time is getting, like cellulite out, stretch marks, that sort of thing.
I do agree with you on the glasses flare, the reflection in the glasses. It's so realistic and so quick, and yeah, if I'm doing corporate headshots across 300 people and 20% have glasses, when I'm shooting, I don't even care if there's a reflection or not. As I'm shooting, because normally I would be shooting and look and say, chin down or just tilt your glasses down, or I don't even worry about that anymore. I just shoot away.
It's mind-boggling. I will sit there and go back and forth and toggle between the before and after, and I'm like, "How did you know?"
Yeah, that's brilliant. All right, so please, can you share your screen with us and take us through your process and your thought process? I want to know what you are thinking when you are implementing the changes that you are implementing.
Is this going to be an okay picture to edit? I just
This
figured it
picture
was
is fantastic to edit.
okay, cool. It's a lot of skin, so I figured
Yeah.
it'd be a good one.
Oh,
I just didn't know if like nudity or anything was,
no,
Let me
that
just
look
my
that's
screener so
fantastic.
it's not in front of the controls.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I think I am ready. Are you ready?
Yes, absolutely. Let's do this.
Okie dokie. So here is what I'm gonna start with. I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of hide all this stuff so it's not too much for people, but this is just mainly skin editing I really want to show off here. So I always like to just start with the face. It's my favorite thing to start with. So I'll just go to blemish removal. It's automatic for me to put freckles and acne up to 100. I'm gonna be for real. I love what it does. And then I go back and forth. I toggle back and forth all the time to see like how it looks and what it's done and everything. She doesn't have any eye bags or dark circles really, but I use that a lot on people. But one thing I really, really love, and I really skip a lot of this. Like if they don't need it, I don't touch it. But one thing I really love is neck wrinkles. So I'm gonna go ahead and do neck wrinkles. And then I'll zoom out and just peekaboo at the body blemishes because I know I'm gonna do that as well. I mean, do you see that? Like, geez Louise, this is so good. Okay. Oh, and I know I'm gonna do armpit touch up. Sorry, I know I'm dragging it around a lot, but there's armpit touch up. I mean, literally, I'll do the before and after so people can kind of see. That little detail is amazing. So now let's go back to her face. There's one more thing I really like to do on faces under the skin retouching is I'm gonna do sculpt for sure. I love me some sculpt. And I'll play around with the amounts, but typically I'm like at 100. I really just love it. And then I like texture smoothing over skin softening. I feel like it keeps, a little more texture there. And then we'll go down to body skin. And really, this is pretty much what I typically hit. I will say, she doesn't have like stretch marks or anything crazy, but a lot of times I will do the stretch marks and then keep that pregnancy line. So like that's a lot. I'm gonna really lower this down a little bit because I'm already gonna throw the skin retouching for the whole body onto here too. But I don't want that line to be gone, so I'm gonna remove that because I always want to keep that guy there. I'm so glad you guys have the option to keep that line. Okay, next up, I'm just gonna go back down to the body skin now because that's all I'm really gonna focus on. I'm gonna do skin softening all the way up and then see what I want to do from there. Sometimes I'll do even and frequency separation, but a lot of times I don't. A lot of times I will only do the skin softening. Once I do body blemishes and skin softening together is such a good combo for me. So, I mean, literally looking at that, I'll do the before and after. Oh my gosh, it's done such a good job with all that skin. So as far as like body, that's typically my go-to. I will say a lot of times I'll do this too. I'll add in the dewy texture. I'm not going to do it here today probably. Yeah, it's too much for her. But a lot of times I add that dewiness and it just adds an extra little like pop of shine on their face. I've sometimes played around with the complexions, but I typically don't. I typically like to keep it as natural as I can. I know I say that while I just completely, airbrush her entire body. But I like to not do too much of the complexion, but it's great, especially for newborns. I use the complexion more for newborns than anything. And then the only other thing I would really throw into here is I would get this guy out of the picture, my light that you can see. So I'm just going to grab the healing tool and just kind of brush all alongside here. And it typically does like such a great job at getting rid of, any sort of blemishes or anything. I'll press OK. And then to finish it off, we're gonna smooth out that background. So I will, all I do is I'll click clean backdrop and this one's solid, but a lot of times I'll do just the background and leave the ground or something. But then color banding removal, because especially with an image like this, when it's a solid backdrop, a lot of times you do get the banding. Love your banding. That's why I love exporting this as like my very last thing, and I don't pop it back into Photoshop or Lightroom because once you resave, your banding's back. So this is typically my last thing I do is I do Evoto. That way I know I have no banding in my pictures. So I don't know how long that took me. I know it wasn't long. And I have like a completely retouched image here that took like no time at all. So that's my typical go-to for maternity. Now let's do a family real quick and we'll end on the newborn. Because I know you wanted me. Do you want me to do all three?
I would love you to do all three.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to do the family next, and then we'll finish on the newborn because I feel like it's going to be the harder of all of them. Okay. So I always start with like faces and stuff. That's just kind of how I do it. Now, Evoto is really typically great at determining what person is what person, but sometimes it kind of confuses it. So for anybody watching, if it ever confuses your faces, just click this little face right here. It'll pop up and it'll allow you to, tell it who is who. See, it got it right for me, but I know sometimes with large groups and stuff, it can get confused. So anyway, I'm just going to start with female, and it's literally the same thing. Like, I don't want to go too fast, but when I'm telling you, it's like this side, doom, 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 and I'm done, So I always do my freckles and acne. And a lot of times while I'm here, instead of scrolling down and editing one person at a time, I will stay right here at blemish removal, and I'll hit all three people and do my blemish removal first before I scroll. So now I'm going to go to male, and I'll hit freckles and acne, and then same thing for the baby. Now she doesn't really have any, but I just do it anyway because it's habit. So now I'm going to go down to just the skin retouching. Now it can already tell she's a little kid, so it already blocked off the body blemishes and it brought up infant. So I'm just going to kind of slide it up a little bit. She doesn't need any of this stuff right here. And then I'm just going to do textured smoothing. Now, sometimes on kids, when they're mean mugging me, I'll do the even, and it'll kind of even out those like mean mugging eyebrows and forehead and stuff. So see, that softened up her face a little bit doing the even. She don't look so mad right now. And then we'll do body skin on her real quick. We'll just bring the skin softening up just, a little bit. I don't want to go too ham on her. So now let's go to the guy. Let's go to dad here. He really doesn't need much at all, honestly. I mean, I really don't think he needs anything. You can't really see his body. I mean, if I wanted to do skin softening on his fingers, I could, but I just focus on his face here. I will say with his face, maybe he's got a little bit of dark, circles under his eyes. So we could kind of do a little bit of that, pull up the dark circles, and then any little bit of eye bags, just to kind of make him look like he got a little bit more sleep. So you see before and after, it just softened up his eyes a little bit. I'm not looking to go too crazy on him. And then mama, I mean, gorgeous. Don't need to do much to her, but I know that I'm going to do, my neck wrinkles. So I'm going to come on down here to the body blemishes and bring up the neck wrinkles here. And then I'm going to do, honestly, her eyes. I could do the same thing for her a little bit. Eye bags and dark circles, just kind of bringing those up a little bit. I think that helps just a tad. And then same thing, just going down to the skin. I like to do on body, I'll do a little bit of skin. Now on her face, though, I am going to do my texture smoothing and my sculpt because I do love a sculpt on a mama. It just, they love it too. It helps with the chin a little bit. So look, she doesn't look as tired. Love it. So really, really, when I say like, that's probably about what I would do to this image. Just keep that, keep the skin. Yeah, I mean, I could, like, if I want to be picky, if you want to be picky, you can go to clothes and I can go to female, right? And I can de-wrinkle some clothing here and be picky about exactly what it's going to de-wrinkle. So, like, I want to keep my deep wrinkles, but remove the fine wrinkles. I always play around with those. And if you don't like somewhere where it de-wrinkled, just go to your manual tuning here. It pulls up the layer mask. And you can remove whatever you want. Let's say I don't want to remove this spot of wrinkles right here. I'll press OK. And now it's only going to like work on any sort of wrinkles on like around the mask, if that makes sense. Do you see now how it's all smooth around, but not smooth here? So you can totally tell it where you want it to de-wrinkle your clothing, which is like the best part about it. But really, she doesn't need it. I just really wanted to show you something I do with people. but I don't really think her dress needs it. So anyway, love the mask, I will say. Now, let's go ahead and we'll do the hard one. We'll do our newborn here, which I know is probably what drives the most interest is the composites. Um, love the background changer options here. So let me tell you two things here. One is that you're able to move your like background around a little bit, slide it left and right, up and down. You As far as your subject, I don't believe your subject can be moved. I think it's just the background that you can move around. So keep that in mind when doing composites. With newborn, my favorite thing about it is like stuff like this when you need to keep a hand on baby. This is very easy to do in Evoto as long as you shoot very similarly. I will keep my camera angle the same spot and shoot one picture with my hand here and then shoot one picture with my hand in another spot, but I make sure not to move my camera too much. And if you keep your camera the same angle, that really helps makes composites easier in any sort of editing program. I mean, as you know, in Photoshop, that was the same way. So here in Evoto, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to my background adjustments. Now, I don't want to do background adjustments. I'm actually going to go down to the changer. So once you click on changer, you're going to see this pop up with the recommended backdrop options, but I like to use my own. So here's what I've done. I'm going to go to my backdrops and you just click on here to bring up a picture. And here's my picture right here. So I am going to click on this picture and it's going to automatically put it in this image. When you look at it though, it's probably going to confuse you. Here's what Evoto is doing. I'm going to explain it first. Evoto right now thinks that the baby, the basketball, and mom's hand are all the subject. So because it thinks those are all the subject, when I go to throw any sort of background in there, look, I'll go to recommended and I'll click on just a white background. See how it thinks that the hand is part of the subject. Well, what I've got to do is tell Evoto, no, I don't want that as part of my subject. So here's, we're going to go back, okay? So we're going to go back to my backdrops. I'm going to click on this, and here's what it's done. This hand on the left side is part of the second picture. And you can see my hand here because it's part of the background, okay? But I want to remove that. So it's all going to be in the masks. The secret is all in the masks. So click your manual tuning button here. What we're going to do is we're going to do two things. We're first going to do the remove mask button. And if you don't know, it's the same kind of like keyboard shortcuts as I found that's on Photoshop. So left and right brackets make it smaller and bigger. So I'm going to just remove this hand well, actually, hold on. Before I do that, let me make it soft. I like it to be all the way soft so you don't have any hard lines. So I'm going to brush this hand off and tell Evoto this hand is not part of my subject, okay? So he is not there anymore. And now I'm going to do the add. Okay, now here's where it gets a little tricky. I don't know if you remember, but when I did the background, you could see my other hand holding his head because it cut out this orange background here. But I just want to tell it like, this backdrop needs to stay. So I need to tell Evoto that this backdrop is part of my subject so it doesn't remove the background like it's supposed to do.
This
So
is your
I'm
cheat code.
Yeah, this is it right here. So I use the plus sign and I tell Evoto that like everything else in this picture is the subject. Like don't touch, keep off. So I'm going to do probably about there. And now I'm going to press OK. And what do you know? My hands are gone. It's just a baby. The magic is all in the masking. And I'll show you, you can move your background around by changing these like lines over here. Obviously I don't want that. It was in the perfect spot for me. I took my picture in the same spot. You can move it around if you need to though. But the magic is in the masking. So it's just that manual tuning button right up here. It's absolutely amazing. And I use that for maternity composites if I'm doing one where I'm changing the backdrop there. Or I don't know if some people saw a recent post where I got a digital backdrop and I put a maternity client in there. I didn't choose that one to edit here because didn't have a lot of skin retouching. I wanted to show the skin retouching, but it's the same process as this. You find your background, you can move it over, mask it if you need to. Another good thing to note, I didn't have to use it here, but the shadows, the fact that you can retain the shadows down here is really very helpful too. So utilize that. It helps it make look realistic. Um, but yeah, that's kind of how I do it. It's pretty darn easy if you ask me. I love it. No complaints.
Yeah,
It's
that's
helped me save so much time.
yeah, it is. It is absolutely fascinating watching you work. My takeaway from watching you work is that you're all in. I love the fact that you go 100% on certain sliders. With different photographers, some people are, maybe 5% or 10%. But I love the fact that you go that you go all in, and it works. It really works, and you've done it intentionally, which I think is absolutely fantastic. Just looking at your workflow, I've noticed, well, maybe you did it for this demonstration specifically, but you doing each family individually, or are you using presets?
I do not use presets in Evoto. That is something I want to start trying out. I'm just such a creature of habit. I just still do my Lightroom presets, but I will sync my Evoto edits at times. So I'll pull a picture in, let's say I'm doing a family session. I will pull a picture from another family session and put it into this, album, and I'll just sync my edits that way. That's kind of how I am in Lightroom too, though. I don't use a set preset. I just sync older edits I think are similar. So I love that you can do that here as well.
The way you're doing it, I mean, it literally took you a minute or two to do each family, and you know what you're going in for, just with regards to the freckles and the armpits. You know what's important to you, and you know what's important to your clients. But that was fascinating, and I really appreciate you showing us how you do it. I know that the image that you're speaking about with the maternity shoot on the boat did get a lot of attention, and I would rather people go to your YouTube channel to have a look at how you did it than see it here. So I will put the link to your YouTube channel in the comments, and people can go directly to you there. For other photographers that want to get into Evoto, I assume that you have a promo code for a discount with Evoto. What is that promo code?
Yes. Okay, so you can save 20% if you use the code KFN20.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Your work looks expensive. Can you tell me about your pricing structures, and when it comes to pricing portrait sessions, what is your pricing philosophy, and how has your strategy affected your business?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you, I've tried almost every pricing structure in the book over the years. So I will tell you, I started off as shoot and burn, as they say. So I just sent them pretty much everything, right? Then I got into IPS for a little bit, and it's just not my jam. For the same reason I got out of weddings, it's the anxiety, it's the confrontation, having to tell people no to their face if they're trying to get something out of me. So I don't prefer IPS now. I know that you can make more money doing it that way, I feel like, but not for me. So I then tried out the pricing structure of picking, you'll book a session for the session fee, and then you pick a digital package after that. And that worked fine when I did like outdoor photography. I really like that pricing structure, honestly, because they pay up front for the photo shoot to book, and then months go by before the photo shoot. And then the day of the session is when at least the minimum digital package would be due. If you were to break up the payments like that, session fee months ago, and then the digital package the day of the session. Then when I would send them their proofing gallery 2 weeks later, they'll look through and they're probably going to want more than the minimum package they ordered. So then they'll upgrade. So an upgrade to them isn't as big of a price in their mind as the original bigger package. And I always just say that money spent is money forgotten. They spent that money a while ago. They're not thinking about the hundreds they've already spent. They're like, I can upgrade. So that was a nice way to really have a higher income, I will say. But once I started doing studio work where I have set backdrops and stuff, and I needed to have set looks, I started charging a different session fee, if you will, because I wanted to know, I wanted it to cover the time we were going to be there, you know, and all that. I didn't want people paying for a high session fee if we're getting a short session or vice versa. So now my pricing is, it's just kind of all included. So I have a one look session where they get one backdrop, one outfit, and it comes with 5 edited pictures. And then I've got a 2 look, 2 backdrops, 2 outfits with 10 pictures, and I go up to 4 looks, and I just charge it that way, so everybody, they just know what they're getting. They feel like they're getting the best value, if that makes sense. And so my pricing, I will say, is probably not as high as people want it to be. I hear that all the time, but it's what works for me. It's what keeps, you know, my lights on, and I'm allowed to live a life. But I also keep in mind that I am in the middle of nowhere. I'm a bit of a drive from Atlanta and Birmingham. So I try to keep all of that in mind. So my prices range from about $300 to $1,300, just depending. But yeah, that's kind of where my pricing's at. And I will say I do value the pricing structure I had previously, where it was session fee, digital package, completely separate. I feel like they upgraded a little bit more back then, maybe, but I think the way I do it now just makes it easy for everybody to understand, and it's just crystal clear. Here's what you get with this package, you know. So yeah, that's kind of how I price it.
Yeah, I think that, you know, IPS is definitely more lucrative, but it isn't for everyone. You know, I think, and I'm not here to tell you how to run your business in any way. I have been involved in retail studios, and the way that we dealt with that in the retail studios was for the salesperson to be a different person to the photographer, because
Ah,
then it's not you've built up this relationship with the client when you're shooting, and then when you go to the IPS, you feel almost like it's a con job and it's all about the money. Whereas if it's a different person, then you haven't broken that trust, you haven't broken that friendship, and the other person focuses solely on sales. And they do it in a way that the client leaves still having found value and is happy to have spent that money. I'm just, you know, throwing some ideas out there that perhaps you could get somebody else to do the selling part for you if you're not comfortable doing that.
I love that idea. That's so smart.
Yeah, and you can bring those people in on a temporary basis from the beginning. It doesn't have to be a full-time employee, and potentially they could be working on commission. Obviously, there are some risks involved, because if they go in too hard and they go in, aggressively, and they have to bear in mind the brand identity that you've worked so long and so hard to create. But yeah, think about perhaps separating that and not being the person who does the actual sales part.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something to think about. I really, really love that. That's probably the main reason I don't do it, is just having to be salesy with my clients. I hate it. So I probably will really actually think about that. So thank you.
Yeah, you know, I wasn't born creative. For me, the hustle is more about the. I mean, that's where I get the rush, from the hustle, and yeah, for me, it really is about the money, and I enjoy that part. It's very much a game, and the negotiating strategies that you implement. But I do understand that people that are inherently creative are potentially more emotionally connected to their work, and it makes it more difficult to sell, especially when a client could potentially say no to an image. Do you like this? And they say no. And if you are emotionally connected to your work, you feel that they're saying that they don't like you rather than that they don't like your work. Whereas in in-person sales, when somebody says no, for me that's an opportunity to try to get them to say yes, or at least to get them back to 1-1. For me, it's a game. It's a sporting event, and whoever scores the most goals wins at the end of the day. But yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. So thank you for giving us a bit of an insight into your pricing structure. It's really cool, and you do have to take into account where you live and the restrictions and the parameters that brings to your situation. So that's cool. Aside from the pricing side of things, what business advice would you have given your younger self 10 years ago? What do you know now that you wish you had learned 10 years ago?
I will say, I think I learned that people will surprise you, and you can't give everybody the benefit of the doubt. There's some people that just honestly suck at the end of the day. So I've learned I have to have my contracts. I have to lay everything out in a contract, and let one time be your learning lesson and change things so it doesn't happen again. I feel like one thing I hear a lot of photographers complaining about that I used to is, your clients are expecting you to just work immediately on their pictures and get them delivered ASAP. And you, as a photographer, don't feel like you can live a life if you have galleries waiting. You can't go to the mall and see a movie, or else your client might see you and ask you, well, where's my pictures? So one thing, is like coming up with set business models. Here's what I'm going to do. And for me, that's, I send out a proofing gallery within 2 weeks. And then once they pick their finals, I have 3 weeks to do final edits. So there's 5 weeks they could be waiting on my pictures. And it's just clear as day in my contract, and in every route we talk, they understand that. And so I feel like I can live my life now and not worry about my clients bugging me about it. But that's something that I struggled with for a while before I finally said, I got to do something about it. I think what matters is you have to look at your business as a business. Yes, we are. A lot of times people say, I'm just a mom who takes pictures. Like, yes, that is the case. But if you have a business where you're taking people's money, you need to treat it like a business. So when you come up with policy, hold yourself accountable to stick to your policy. And if you do that and you can follow through on your back end of things on your contract, then that's all you can ask for at the end of the day. But you've got to come up with boundaries and rules and a system. And once you that's what helped me the most, I think, is getting organized, coming up with a system and holding myself to it, so that I work like a business. I strive on good reviews. I'm a people pleaser. I always want people to have a good approval of me. And so if I ever have any bad feedback, let me tell you, I take it to heart and I see what I can do to fix it. So just treat your business like a business and not just a hobby, which is probably what it started as. And it's hard to find that middle line of like, when do I have to really be serious about it? But that's probably my biggest advice, honestly, is treating it like a business and holding yourself accountable to it.
Yeah, I also think that communication is key, and what you've been explaining here is that you have been managing your clients' emotional expectations by giving them the information and saying to them, yes, it will take 5 weeks. From the wedding side of things, I can only speak from the wedding side of things in terms of my experience. You have so many people saying, oh, the norm is to deliver within 6 weeks, or the norm is to deliver within 3 months. Some photographers take a year to deliver, but their clients are still happy because the photographer has managed their emotional expectations the whole way through. They knew from the get-go what the process was like. And I'm not talking about sneak peeks. I'm talking about their final album or whatever, up to a year, and no issues. Great reviews, great customer experience. But it is about managing your clients' emotional expectations, and by giving yourself that time. And I know that Evoto has saved you a lot more time. Just from a personal perspective, I know that you're a mom too, but just give us a little bit of insight into the Kelsey who is not a photographer. What are you doing when you're not shooting? What do you do for fun?
So I'll do the part, everybody probably knows and expects you to say when you're a mom. I've got kids. I have two kids. My oldest, who got me into photography, he's a freshman in high school now. He's 14, and he does marching band. He plays the drums. So I am very much often at school. I'm working concession stands, all that. My daughter is 7, and so we, just lots of playing at the house. But as far as me personally, what I like to do, I've always been very musical. So chorus, band, I play the guitar. I love to sing, and I love to paint. So I do. If I have time, which I really don't pull it out that much, but if I have time, I like to do some acrylic or oil painting. But really, my life is consumed right now about my house. We moved a few years ago to a fixer-upper, and every spare second I have when I'm not working, I'm doing some sort of project around the house. So that's mainly my life. If I'm being honest, I'm a hermit crab. I don't like to go into public spaces if I don't have to. We ended up moving to the middle of nowhere because I wanted land and I wanted a bubble. So we bought a log cabin on some land, and I just am home every day. My studio is 5 minutes down the road. So I just, I'm just such a creature of habit. I have my routine, and I wake up every day at about 4:45. I wish I didn't, but my kids' school, their bus gets here so early. So I'm up every morning very early, and I, will go to the studio, come home, and do stuff around the house. I know it's probably the most boring answer nobody's looking for.
You're basically a very creative person who is looking for ways to express herself, and it's great. And log cabin in the middle of nowhere sounds pretty cool.
I love it. It's my bubble. We used to live closer to Atlanta, and I just got too overwhelmed with just the hustle and bustle of everything. It was right around COVID, and we just figured, let's just move out to the middle of nowhere. And I love it so much. It's just, that's my thing. I don't ever care to go on vacations anymore because it's like, I just like being at home, So I'm just a homebody. I will say this: if I didn't have to work, I'd be the best housewife in the world. I love to cook. So I'd be making homemade everything, homemade bread, like you name it. That's probably one of my bigger passions too.
That sounds fantastic. That really sounds cool. So, if people want to get in touch with you online, where can they find you? Your website, your Instagram, your everything,
Yeah.
Facebook.
So my website is kelseyfreemanphotography.com, and most of my socials, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, they are Kelsey Freeman Photography. My old TikTok was Kelsey Freeman Photography, but it got banned, so I made Kelsey Freeman Photo is where you can find me on TikTok. But I do post a lot. I try to post every day, sometimes 3 times a day. And it's all free content. I have videos where it's just peekaboos into behind the scenes of a session, but then there's also videos where I go into depth about lighting and things. I also will be teaching at the Maternity and Newborn Summit in Dallas, Texas in July. And then I also am part of the Milky Way.
No, wait.
Oh, we can't?
No. I wanted to ask you specifically about that
Oh,
because
okay,
because
okay.
because I know how excited you were to announce that. So please tell me more. You can't just say one thing. I'll be teaching in June and then just move on. Tell us
Okay.
all about it. I want to know all about it. What are you going to be doing there? What are you shooting live? Are you doing lectures? What are you doing there?
Oh, okay, cool. So, I am going to be there in person for a few days. I will be teaching three different classes. One of them is going to be on implied nudity maternity. So just like pictures like the purple one, stuff like that, the mom we edited with the purple backdrop, um, stuff like that. And then I'm also going to be teaching a class on gels. So all the different lights, all the different, it'll be more advanced. And then I will be teaching a class on social media. So it's going to be lots of different photographers. They are the best in the maternity and newborn industry throughout the world. They are the top photographers. We're talking from like Australia, we're talking about Europe, like all over. They're the best, and they're going to be in Dallas, Texas. So I've taught with several of these teachers, but some of them I've never met, and I fangirl because I followed them when I started photography, and it's like I get to teach with you now. So anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun, lots to learn, and it'll be yeah, like 4 days long, just full of learning.
Yeah, that's so exciting, and I can see how passionate you are about it. So congratulations, and it's going to be amazing. I don't need to wish you luck for that. Okay, now you can move on to Milky Way or something like that you wanted to
Okay.
say.
Yeah. So this is a great thing if you don't want to travel but you're looking to learn online. There's going to be 21 photographers. Several of the people that are teaching at the summit that I'm going to be going to, they also are part of the Milky Way. And we just take you behind the scenes and teach you, a thing or two. It's some teachers are just newborn. I'm going to be teaching maternity. Most classes are about an hour long of a video, but I just went all in. I did so many sessions
Whack
and
that slider in, all in.
yeah, right. Yeah. I did far too much. And my video ended up being 3 hours long. So it's a lot of info. We go from one light setups all the way up to four lights with gels and V flats and projectors. So if you're curious to learn lighting, I've got a lot of info coming your way. And that comes out early of next year. So you can, just sit on your couch and learn. And you get those videos forever. So if you guys are looking for any sort of way to, like we said earlier, handle a newborn baby safely, or learn lighting or whatever, this is they're both great places to go. I also do teach like in person, like one-on-one mentorings if you want to come, just to me. But if you're just looking to stay online, I also have, good bit of videos on YouTube. I don't sell any of that stuff. I'm just freely giving it all away.
Well, yeah, Kelsey, it's been so refreshing chatting with you, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day, a couple of weeks before Christmas. So I wish I could talk to you to all day, but that was really, really fun and exciting, and your passion is infectious. It's really cool to see that. So thank you so much for sharing how Evoto has become part of your everyday workflow. And I'm sure that we have a lot of photographers that are watching right now that are going to walk away being so inspired and feeling so much more passion for what they do after listening to you. So thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope that your teaching experience next year is everything that you hope it will be.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys wanting to do this. It's been so much fun. I've really enjoyed talking to you. And yeah, anybody watching, don't sleep on Evoto. You've got to check it out. It's amazing. So yeah, thank you so much again, though. This was a blast.
Absolutely.